Okay, and let me just go ahead and come back to y'all. Stop share. We'll just chat for a second. Does anybody have any questions? I'm going to be going over um, just the curriculum, what our daily schedule looks like, what you could expect during the year, what some of my hopes are as far as field trip goes. But I won't start until 6, but we do have a few minutes, 4 minutes. If you had some questions for me, I'm happy to answer them ahead of time. Who do I see? I see Miss Gamble. Who's behind you? Hi. Hello.
Hello. It's crazy in here.
I am loving the classroom. As some of you know, I went from middle school to 4th grade, and I am having so much fun. And we're on what day? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, day 6. It's a blast. There's so much fun. Okay, a few more minutes and we'll get started. I will start promptly at 6 because I know there are 2 sessions. My presentation just takes about 11 minutes, but there's time in case anybody has any questions. I see the Yeats. Hello. Just going through, seeing who we have here. Thank you for being so flexible. I know this wasn't our intention. Even when I sent out the newsletter yesterday, my hope was that we'd be able to be in person and I could see you. But thanks for being flexible, and maybe it works out better for some of your schedules. Hello, Jones family. Welcome. I think you are all muted upon entry. So if you do have a question, feel free to unmute yourself. If you want to post something in the chat, you may feel free to do that. I will try to check the chat box as I go through our back to school presentation. So whichever works is fine. We will also have just some time for questions at the end, and I will do my best to answer them. About 1 more minute, see if we can get a couple other families on, and then we'll get started because I know your time is valuable. Hello, Nelson family. Thank you for joining.
What's going on, my friend? Good to see you.
Oh, it's so good to see you too. Or look at your name, but I know who you are. Yes, it was fun having Destiny showing us her treasures from your trip. Her beautiful
Yeah, there's 10 million of us here, so we'll avoid putting anybody through that.
Hi.
Yeah, like I said, we'll just stay on that.
That's fine. Just feel free to unmute yourself if you have questions, or feel free to ask any questions in the chat box. Okay, it is 6 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started with our first session. Thank you for those who participated just in my technical test and made sure that the screen was sharing okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do that at this point. And I apologize ahead of time. I am in the classroom, and these lights are motion detective. So if it goes dark, you'll see me kind of do this and try to get it to go back on. So I'm not doing anything weird. That's what's going on there. Okay, so let's go ahead and let me share my screen. Okay. So welcome to Back to School Night. My name is Jennifer Varner, Mrs. Varner to the students, and I'm so happy to be here in fourth grade. Just a little bit about myself. This is my 5th year here at Spring Valley. I did start in the middle of 2017 teaching middle school. I taught 7th and 8th grade English and language arts, and this is my first year teaching fourth grade. So I'm very excited about it. I have just a little background on me. I am happily married going on my 28th year. How am I that old? 3 beautiful grown children. We are empty nesters now. I do have a grandson who's almost 3. So don't blink, guys. Time is a horrible thief. It just steals it from you. But I'm enjoying them to the fullest. I have a multiple subject credential. I recently received my master's in education with an emphasis in social emotional learning. And some of my hobbies, I love to travel. I have a son who's in the Air Force who was in Italy these past few years. So we've been able to go to Italy. He's getting ready to go to England. Right now he's in South Korea. So that does, I'm a giver. I like to go visit him, but I do enjoy traveling. I have a love for theater. If your students told you, I have been in some theater, local community theater. I enjoy doing theater with children. We do a lot of improv, but that is a passion of mine, and just really living life to the fullest in this crazy, crazy, crazy world that we are living in right now, trying to live life to the fullest. So just a quick peek at what your children, and is everybody able to see the screen okay with everything? Okay. We start in the morning. I just have some quiet music playing. I try to set learning ambiance. I know there's a lot of energy getting ready in the morning, getting on the bus, trying to get here. And I want them to just come in, have quiet instrumental music just playing. They go get their writing journal. And right now we've just been responding to writing prompts and just really wanting to wake up their brains and just get their writing, their words flowing. And so that's what we've been working on, and we will continue to do that. We will also incorporate some grammar and math review as our bell ringers, just to, as I said, wake up our brains. We start with English language arts. We are incorporating our reading and writing and spelling and grammar into that time period. I am looking to do stations on Tuesdays and Thursdays where I have an opportunity to work with some of the smaller groups. So I look forward to doing that. And then they go off to recess, come back, and we have our core math unit. And we are, I will go into a little bit more depth on what we're looking at as far as the year goes in math, but that's the time where we do all of our math. And again, we're going to try to do some small groups with math as well. Then we have lunch. After lunch, we alternate between social science and science. After that, we do have AR reading. We're bringing back iReady this year. So we did not have that last year, but we see the value in iReady. So we will have iReady and then physical education on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Cleanup and dismissal. So that's what their day looks like. As you know, Monday's early dismissal, but that is our daily schedule. Okay, so taking a look specifically at math as far as what they're going to be learning. Our curriculum that we're using is by McGraw-Hill. It's called My Math. And really there's 5 different main categories. I'm not going to go through the whole list of the small bullet points. You're welcome to look at that yourself. But our 5 main categories are number and operations, base 10. Right now we're looking at the place value, looking at some really large numbers and finding out what each of those component values are. The second component is operations and algebraic thinking. Then we go to number and operations, measurement and data, and we are ending the year in geometry, looking at some angles and shapes and triangles and you name it with geometry. And I'm trying to, if you just give me a second, I'm trying to see if I have some comments so far. Let me just pull up my chat there. Okay, so feel free if you have questions, you may unmute yourself or just post in the chat box and I'll try to multitask and look at all the different areas. I know this is a lot of information. You can look to have a copy of this come home to you. It's also being recorded if it's something that you wanted to take a look at later if you missed. Okay, so that is what math is looking like for the year. And in writing, one of our main curriculums that we use is called Step Up to Writing. And we are focusing on the essay writing in quarter one. We're looking at narrative writing. So that's what we're going to be looking at first. And it's really identifying all the different elements of the plot. Nope, there goes my light. And all the different elements of a story, as well as character development, character traits, how to show emotion versus just tell, and everything that's in relation to narrative writing. So, and in the second quarter, we're going to be looking at argumentative writing. We'll be identifying how to create a strong thesis statement, how to hook the reader into their argument, their writing, their persuasive writing, how to identify the main reasons to support their argument, and how to provide evidence that'll help support those reasons, how to effectively conclude their reasoning and transition into their next reason. So really kind of diving into some of that structure in their argumentative writing. We're also looking in the third quarter at informational writing, and really focusing on providing sound evidence, providing information that's paraphrased, that's not taken straight from informational text and plagiarized into an essay. And so that's what we're focusing with informational writing. And then our fourth quarter, we'll be looking at research writing. We have a magic, I believe it's a magic tree house. No, Miss Frizzle, help me. Somebody tell me who's Miss Frizzle is with Magic School Bus? Yes. With Amazon Forest, there's a novel unit that I'd like to do and have that kind of create into a project-based learning with some research incorporated in there. We are also looking at addressing, we look at the acronym RACE, which means restating the question, answering the question, citing evidence, and elaborating. And this is in response to reading. So if they are reading an excerpt, I want them to be able to, and if they're responding to a question on what they read, I want them to be able to restate that question instead of just answering it straight out with certain words. How do they effectively restate the question and answer it by providing evidence and elaborating with detail? So I'm taking a look at a lot of their writing right now and seeing how they're answering some questions and seeing how, you know, we're going to be incorporating that RACE throughout the year. Okay. All right, with science, we started last year with a new curriculum called Amplify, and I look forward to diving deep into this. It is something that's new to me as well, but at a glance, we have the different units that we're going to be studying that include energy conversion, vision and light. How do we see? How do animals see? How do different, you know, in biology with the vision, how do we see, with how does light play into it? Unit 3 has some of the different earth features, and I am covering up my unit 4. Okay, so that's looking at sound waves and light waves and energy, and so we have all sorts of things to learn with those in regards to those units and being able to get our hands on and hopefully do some of our labs. There's lots of different exciting things there. Somebody have a question? Okay, I just heard somebody unmute. I really wish you were all here in person. It'd be nice to meet you. But we're just being flexible and doing the best we can with, what's going on with COVID, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. In social studies, we are diving into California. They're going to be learning everything about California, how California became a state, the economy and industry, physical geography, government. I'm hoping that we can have a field trip where we can visit some of the important, whether it's the government house or Yosemite or Sequoia National Park, but just really diving into learning about California.
Are they going to do missions?
We will be studying missions, yes. Whether we're going to be going to a mission on a field trip, that it's up in the air. But we will still be studying missions. We'll also be studying the Native American tribes local area. I'm hoping to be able to go to the new museum, the Mono Museum, excuse me. So yes. With regard to reading,
She said Mono.
what was that?
Oh, nothing. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Feel free to ask a question. We are using the Nat Geo Reach for Reading curriculum. We will be doing a lot of reading and responding, doing some close-up reading with literature, trying to identify and understand what the main point of some of the excerpts are, as well as what some of the supporting evidence, or how do they know that that's the main topic, main point, where did they get their evidence? So we'll do a lot of read and respond. We are going to be doing accelerated reader, where the students are going to have goals established quarterly. We'll break those up into every 2 weeks to meet a goal, and testing for those AR to meet those goals with those points. As I mentioned before, we are bringing iReady back. And so we will be doing some small group reading, some iReady personal My Path, where they can help close any of those gaps that they might have with reading. And as well as a whole class novel. I'm looking into maybe even doing some literature circles. We'll see how it goes initially with the first quarter with our different levels of reading. So that is reading. Okay. So homework, I know that the students have been asking me questions about homework, and we are slowly getting into it. Our first week, I wanted to do a lot of team building, a lot of bonding, a lot of understanding of the process and procedures and everything with the classroom and how we're going to run it. We are starting to get into some curriculum now, but my homework, my philosophy is that we're going to minimize the amount of homework at home. I want them to be able to have plenty of time in the class to be able to complete their work. And I don't want to have a second shift at home to spend a lot of time. However, there will be some homework that will be asked of them. In our math lessons, there is in My Math a homework page with each of the lessons. And so we will be sending those pages when we get to them home in their yellow folder so they can complete that and come back with it the next day. And we will go over it as a whole class the next day so that everybody has an understanding of what the questions were and the correct answers and how to get to that answer. Reading, I would love to see them reading every night. I am pleased to see them reading in class. They asked to read. They were excited to go to the library and get their AR book, and I couldn't be happier with that. I would love to instill the love of reading. So I am asking them to read every night. I am not asking them to log minutes or to write a summary or do any paperwork that goes along with their reading. I would just like them to read. Okay. And so their AR goals will be incorporating minutes in class, as well as assuming that they are reading at home in order to meet their goals. And then any classwork that's not finished will go home. And really, this is more of if a student is spending their time not on task and there's a lot of work that's not being completed, it will go home in their yellow folder to be completed. Or spending a little bit of time at recess to just kind of get them back on track that they want to use their time. And as I mentioned, I don't want a whole second shift at home, but they do have to use their time wisely here in class. In fourth grade, there is standard grading. So this is a change. I know up to third grade, we did the OSN grading, and in fourth grade, it will be standard grading. So you can see there, I mean, I think we're pretty familiar with the system, but that is there. Okay. And then, I don't know what field trips look like. I do have a wish list. We could all think positive vibes, but learning about California, I would love to be able to do a field trip and go see. We are living in an area that people would love or do love to come and vacation. So if we could take advantage of that and go see something beautiful that California has to offer, let's cross our fingers that we can make that happen. I'm also carrying on what Mrs. McGrew used to do. She did receive a grant and receives the trout. I'll be honest with you, I cannot think at the moment what the company is that provides the eggs, but I do have the whole aquarium system, and they send the eggs, and the children are able to see the entire life cycle from egg to release of the trout. So I'd love to be able to do that. And I also would love to be able to take the kids to a theatrical performance of some sort, whether it's in Fresno. I know Golden Chain Theater is doing Mary Poppins. That would be amazing. I don't know if they would be willing to do a matinee for us, but that's something I would love to instill culture of the arts in with the students. So that's what I'm hoping. We can just all think positive and hope that we can get there. I will be communicating with a weekly newsletter. I also will be sending you an invite to join on to the Google Classroom so you can see the assignments that are posted in Google Classroom. There is communication with Parent Square. You also can reach me at any time on extension 3520 here in the classroom, or feel free to make an arrangement to meet with me. I know I have had some parents ask about volunteering, and we're taking it day by day, week by week, as far as being able to come onto campus. I do know that, we're doing this virtually right now. So unfortunately, it's getting a little bit strict, and there might be some requirements of negative COVID tests in order to come into the classroom, but I'm getting the concrete information to be able to communicate that to you, because I would love to be able to have some volunteers, especially when we do our small groups and our rotation stations. So that is all I have as far as the slides go, but that doesn't mean that we are, we have to be completely done. We still have 1 minute before my next session. But does anybody have any questions for me? Any comments or concerns?
Do you have a classroom want list or need list?
Oh, thank you for asking. Thank you, Mrs. Gamble. I will be sending home a copy of my syllabus, and on there I'll have a QR code. I have an Amazon wish list. You have been generous. I've received a lot of supplies to help our kids get through the year, and I appreciate that. This is my first year in fourth grade, so there's other things that I would love to see added to the classroom that I will have on the wish list if you're interested.
Okay. Is that it?
All right.
Do they have to?
Well, if that is all the questions, that concludes the first session. And it looks like I'm just about to start my second session, and there goes my lights. So I'm just
Thank
going to do a repeat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Take care. Thank you. If you are just joining for the second session, I appreciate you being here. We are just ending that first session, so I'm just going to give a chance for some of the others to hang up or get off the call. Well, what would you say? Get off of Zoom. And we will go ahead and get started with our second session. Okay. So thank you so much for being flexible and being willing to come on this call. If you can just give me a thumbs up, everyone can hear me okay? Wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we'll go through the syllabus and the curriculum that we're going to be using this year in 4th grade. And if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question. We can pause. I'm happy to address it. Or if you want to just post it in the chat box, I will try to periodically take a look at chat and answer your questions that way. Sound good? All right, so let me go ahead and share the screen. Okay. So welcome to Back to School Night. As I mentioned before, I would really love to meet you all in person, and I was a little disappointed that we had to do it this way, but it's the times right now, and we just roll with the punches.